Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to podcast 22, season 2 of the Blue Collar War Workers. Unsurprisingly, very rarely, John is wearing a fucking jumper. Which, if you know my partner, we've been friends for more than 10 years, this is almost unspoken. That's how cold our part of Gloucestershire really is at the moment. For John to be wearing a bloody jumper is unreal. It's unspoken.
Or just getting old.
Or I'm getting old. That's entirely possible. Today, on Your Voice, Your Nation, as always, I'm John, Sean, or Yahya.
I'm Chris.
And I've got lockdown has been, could have been avoided. Key findings of COVID from COVID inquiry. I'm going to have a stab at Boris Johnson. I hate his guts. Everyone knows that. Some migrants to face 20 years wait for settled status. This is going to lead to uncertainty and a loss of critical jobs. We will get into that. How billion-dollar money laundering network in the United Kingdom bought a bank to fund Russian war efforts. You can't make this shit up in the UK. Angela Rayner's reappearance is further damning of Stemmer's leadership. Not that there needs to be much to the damning of Stemmer's leadership. Over at my partner's side,
I got Stammer's new Chinese embassy.
Super embassy for super spies.
Middle class set to take a massive hit when it comes to council tax rises, potentially. 11th hour proposal from the backbenchers within the Labour Party regarding the council tax raid. Reeves having a strop. And NHS will struggle if foreign doctors leave.
Ties in nicely with our settled status. And to be fair, I think I'll start with that. How some migrants will be forced for 20 years. I think that's that can lead straight nicely into your doctor point.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think we should very much open one.
Whilst he sorts that thing out, just letting you guys know, we have got 2 specials coming up. One's going to be on the budget, which we'll do within the first 2 weeks of December, just so I can get all the figures together, and then we'll go from there. And then our lovely McDonald's special will be airing just before Christmas, and then we'll be back in the new year.
Yeah, we will be discussing the matter of the McDonald's as our last episode of the season 2, which we're very close to. Yeah, we were already on 22. We've only got 3 left, 3 more weeks, and then season 2 done. Oh my God, 2 seasons with you. I'm surprised I haven't killed him, or he hasn't killed me. Let's be honest about this.
Surprised I went to season 2 to start off with.
Anyway. Some migrants to face 20 years wait for settled status. Migrants who are in the UK legally could have to wait up to 20 years before they can settle permanently under new government proposals. The Home Secretary, Shaboom Mamoon, who, if she applied these settled status for her, would have herself deported. I should make that point out, yeah? The British-born Pakistanian would probably be deported using her own settled status rules. This is how bad politics has gotten.
Might be a step in the right direction, actually, to deter the buggers from coming over.
I don't think deterring is going to work, Chris. I think we need a better system of integration. We need a better system to solve the problems. Better housing, better marketing, we need a fucking overhaul of everything. Mamoon said becoming part of the UK is not right but a privilege, and one that must be earned. The package is the latest in a string of changes to the immigration system announced by Mamoon over the past week. Mamoon demands migrants earn right to settle in the UK. Settlement, also known as indefinite leave to remain, ILR, allows some to live in the UK permanently, working without restrictions and accessing public services. It also keeps a key step towards British citizenship. Currently, most work and family visas holders can apply for settled after 5 years. Under the proposed changes, the standards wait will be 10 years, with a range of critiques that would lengthen or shorten that period. Legal migrants who claim benefits for less than 12 months will have to wait 15 years. People who arrive on post-Brexit health and social care visas would have to wait 15 years, up from 5 years currently. Migrants relating on benefits for more than 12 months face a 20-year wait for settlement, 4 times now that in the current period, and the longest in Europe. Announcing these changes in the Commons, Mamoon said, migrants will always be a vital part of British story. Not if you continue to sing towards the ultra right wing of our country. Me and Chris have said on these podcasts multiple times, we have a 1.3 birth rate. This will destroy your economy if you continue to attack hard work. And I'm not talking illegals. I'm not talking criminals. I'm more ruthless about criminal migrants than this man is because I'm fucking Irish. I say pack every fucking person who's broken the law out the door, slam it shut, and don't let the cunts come back. But I do believe we need genuine, honest, hard-working, law-abiding migrants. We have to.
If I remember correctly, snippets in the news that I saw regarding obviously this, depending on which sector you go into, the time is reduced. So I think if you go into the NHS and whatnot in that sector, it goes down to 5 years or less. And then a couple of other sectors as well, it does reduce it, which I think is more of an incentive because then we actually then get
and again, we're talking about
in the
lawful
correct
migrants.
places.
Yeah. We're talking about lawful migrants. This doesn't address the elephant in the room involving the black market of migration. None of this package touches the farming industry that's the problem, the Uber industry that's the problem, the weed industry that's entirely illegal anyway. It addresses none of these problems because there is not enough enforcement being used on these. The problems we had with the boat migrants, if you want to use a derogatory term, and I don't like doing that, but I will.
Did you read the latest about what?
Yeah,
British,
30,000. Yeah.
know what British people are doing going over to France?
No.
British tourists are going over to France and slashing the boats.
Welcome hell.
It's got that bad. We have taken upon ourselves to pop over to the other country and destroy the boats.
That's where vigilism is going to start fucking kicking off. This is going to be a problem.
Mm. But because you're doing it in a foreign nation.
Mm. No, it's vigilism in general. Any type of vigilism leads to deterioration.
I think they've done that deliberately because it's on foreign soil.
Yeah.
And that way they don't get prosecuted by Britain, but then you
they get caught. They get caught.
They get liable to be prosecuted in France.
Yeah, absolutely. But the entire migrant system that she's implying applies to lawful migration, which Britain needs. Okay, you have a birth rate of 1.3. You need lawful migration. The unlawful migration, because it's not illegal to become a migrant, you can't be an illegal boat migrant. You're trying to seek asylum. We don't have asylum systems outside of the UK. You have to be still on British soil. I've mentioned that many, many times. The problem being is many of those that are involved in the modern day slavery, that are going into the black markets, going into the drug trades, prostitution for the young ladies, it is a fuel for them. These industries are not being hunted down. Mahmoud's not fixing any of this.
I was watching a little clip the other day where these people were finding the documents of the illegal migrants that come over, only to find they've already had approval to be a French citizen, and they still come over here.
Oh yeah. No, I've seen that. It doesn't suppose France doesn't want the migrant problem. They want to dump it on Britain because we're not part of the EU anymore. This is why returning to Europe would be in Britain's best interest to deal with our migrant problems. Because I've said this before, Chris has said this as well. Were you financially stronger or poorer? Were you richer or poorer back in Europe when you were a European citizen yourself as Britons? Obviously, you were richer.
I'd say get back into the EU into the EU trade market. Regarding the European Union in general,
has the migrant crisis gotten worse or better since we left Europe?
Worse.
So why did we leave on the... I'm not taking apart any of the legal grievances that Chris and you rescued. Why did we leave on the terms given to us by Boris Johnson and Nigel fucking Farage? Remember, Britain, the very deal that you've been given was championed by the man leading reform. And that's a critical point. The other cretin has already left Parliament and is persona non grata in the political sphere of Britain. Completely persona non grata. But when we're talking about migrants and the migrant problems that we have, we need to understand that Mamoun's entire action here for the facing 20 years for settled status is for the lawful migration.
Should be 20 for the illegal.
Oh, no, they should be deported, mate. I told you, people who are working in the illegal markets, I believe they should...
Two stage for the illegal. Do you have a criminal record? Yes or no? We're going to backtrack you with your fingerprints and DNA anyway, so tell me. If they say yes, bye-bye, off you go. No? Fine. you have to work hard labour jobs for 20 years before you even consider application.
Yeah. No, I get that, because the way they came in, the people they were involved in, I get that. But the reality we're looking at is we now need to start realistically taking arguments that they're making in Parliament, which are extremely right-wing. Let's be fair about this. Mahmood is writing a right-wing statement here. But the problem being is it doesn't address the actual black market of migrant labour. Reform UK did not respond to the statement in the Commons, but the party has previously announced that it would abolish ILR, replacing it with visas that migrants must reapply for every 5 years. The Conservative Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Phillips, accused Labour of copying and pasting policies from his party that it had previously voted against. No, they haven't, because your policies were far more draconian. So can we stop using that as an axe-binding position? Yeah, they've taken some of the ideas that have been discussed in Parliament, because Parliament is sovereign, looked at it and seen how not to fuck everybody whilst they have to look at these problems. The Home Office's figures show net migration of adding 2.6 million people in the UK population between 2021 and 2024. That is not as vast as the fucking Sun and the other newspapers say it is. Mm-hmm. But it is a large number. Let's not kid ourselves here. 2.6 million growth with no growth in houses, schools, hospitals lays pressure on everybody. British Bengalis, British Pakistanians, British Somalians, British Poles, British Ukrainians, British Romanians, British Welsh, Irish, Scottish, English. It puts pressure on everybody.
All British people.
All British people. The actual lawfully settled people. You know, the 70s peoples that came over, the 60s people that came over, the 80s people that came over, the Windrush generation. Adding 2.6 million adds pressure to everybody. Now, what I want to know is why Labour hasn't prepared the infrastructure. Yeah? Why isn't there groundwork for the infrastructure? Because they're missing their targets on the housing already. They're not focused enough on fixing the country's infrastructural problems to then start looking at the migration one. Based on this, settlement grants are also expected to spike over the next 5 years, with around 1.6 million people forecast to settle between 2026 and 2030. Ministers plan to introduce an earned settlement system requiring migrants to demonstrate social integration, economical contribution and good character before being granted settled status. Applicants will need to meet stricter minimum requirements, including the equivalent of an A-level studies in English. Fuck, we're fucked. I can't pass that.
I thought it was degree level, I heard.
No, A-level at the moment.
I swear you're degree level.
A-level standard English language, a clear criminal record. I'm fucked! I couldn't migrate to the country I was born in. Jesus Christ. Clean criminal record and earnings above 12. I can do that. I can do the one thing in that entire pile I would be able to qualify is the earnings. This will accelerate route for those who make an outstanding contribution to the UK. A-level standards of English language. Do you have A-level standards of English language? I fucking certainly don't.
I'm GCSE, not A-level.
I struggled when I tried to get my degree on my fucking history quiz, man. Seriously, A-level English. Oh, all my days. A'udhu billah. Yeah, I failed the second part completely, but I'm a British citizen by birth, so. Hang on, they might deport me to Ireland. That might be a bonus. Go back to your grandpa's land. Yeah! Free healthcare! Less stress. No Nazis. Sorry. Reformed Party. Not the Nazi Party yet. The fuckers haven't come to power yet. There will be accelerated routes for those who make an outstanding contribution to the UK. Doctors and nurses working in the NHS will be able to settle after 5 years, as you said. Brightest and best. International talent could have settled fast tracks, with high earners and entrepreneurs able to stay after just 3 years. Family members will not gain automatic status when their main applicant qualifies. Children who came to the UK under the age of 18 may settle with parents, but older dependencies could face separate requirements. Existing fast-track routes for victims of domestic abuse, bereaving parents and resettling refugees will remain, which is good, because we're not fucking monsters. Public service unions Unison said the changes would be devastating to thousands of essential workers and put services at risk. Yes, it will. because you don't want to regulate those industries, and they need to be better regulated. Christian McAnus, Unison's General Secretary, said forcing staff, many of whom stepped up during COVID, to wait 15 years for certainty about their futures betrays the promises they were made. Well, they were made by Boris Johnson. I mean, I'm sorry, you make promises from Boris Johnson. What does that tell you?
Got no hope.
I mean, you take the word of a lying sack of shit from London. I'm sorry. The changes build on measures first set out on the government in May, whilst a white paper. The government plans to roll out changes for spring 2026 after the consultation ends on the 12th of February. On Monday, Mahmood announced a sweeping overhaul of the UK's asylum system, including plans to end permanent refugee status and replace it with temporary status is subject to review every 30 months. Opinion, Chris?
The refugee status is reviewed every 30 days, not 30 months. Because I'm a harsh git.
You can't do it every month. You'd create an
every
entire...
90 days then, every 3 months.
Yeah, that is. Oh, it's 30 months. No, yeah.
Every 90 days. Every quarter.
That's, I would say, yearly. 30 months is probably too long. But to be reviewed yearly. I think, I just... The overall problem with what she's doing here is it's punishing the good, hard-working immigrants who we need. Britain, you have a birth rate of 1.3. You need these migrants. This needs to be said. This needs to be academically and economically said. But there's no word of regulating the black market industries, the Uber drivers, the fucking...
Yet. And this could be their first step.
I don't trust Labour. I don't trust Labour to do it.
I said, could be.
Over to you, my boy.
NHS could struggle if the foreign doctors decided to leave. The NHS could be left with huge holes in its medical workforce. A medical regulator has warned as foreign doctors increasingly leave the health service. A new General Medical Council, the GMC, report reveals 4,880 doctors trained abroad left the UK workforce in 2024. That represents a 20% increase on the 3,869 departures recorded in 2023. Doctors who qualified outside the UK currently comprise around 42% of the workforce. Christ. Yeah. GMC Chief Executive Charlie Macy said the doctors represent a mobile workforce whose skills are in high demand around the world. Internationally qualified doctors who have historically chosen to work in the UK could quite convincingly choose to leave if they feel they have no future job progression here or if the country feels less welcoming. Are you really surprised with the current status? Any hardening of the rhetoric and falling away of support could undermine UK's image as somewhere the brightest and the best from all over the world want to work. It is vital that the workforce policies do not inadvertently demoralise or drive out the talent on which our health system services depend. Doctors who qualify outside the UK, also as I said, make it 42%. If we see even a small percentage increase in the leaving, our health service will end up with huge holes that they'll struggle to fill. It comes after health leaders warned that St George's flags are creating no-go zones for NHS staff, with some facing frequent abuse. Workers feel intimidated by the presence of the flags across the country, including when they are visiting people in their own homes to give them treatment, according to several NHS Trust chief executives and leaders. An NHS provider poll of senior managers found 45% were extremely concerned about the decriminalisation towards NHS staff from patients and the public, with a further 33% were moderately concealed. This basically added whether the future makeup of the workforce we all, from employers to regulators, policymakers to the profession itself, have a duty to recognise the essential contribution all doctors make, irrespective of background, to ensure that each one is supported and valued accordingly. Speaking last week about the resident doctors going on strike, Health Secretary Wes Streeting said he was proposing changes to improve doctors' lives, including more training places and changes to international recruitment. He acknowledged that two-thirds of the 30,000 doctors applied for 10,000 training places are international medical graduates. Take them, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. Mr. Streeting said, one of the things that I'm doing is putting an end to the absurdity where homegrown talent are having to compete for the same training places on equal terms against people who have trained overseas. It's called raise your game then.
The NHS is going to collapse under these terms.
I think it's crackers. I think it's unfair to our own doctors. I also think it doesn't help this country with unmanageable levels of net migration. So I'm working as fast as I can, and hopefully that will be by 2027, but I'm actually looking at whether I can do something much more urgently. The challenge is a legal one. I'm looking at whether there are things I can do more quickly. And then it's the usual thing with the independence at the end.
I fundamentally find that this gives us a critical failure of understanding how desperate the British NHS needs doctors and nurses.
See, this is what I don't get. Because if you've got people coming in from abroad, which are fully medical trained, which is people that we do need, why are you trying to stop them coming in? Because if there isn't a demand from homegrown, as I call it, or homegrown isn't...
Chris, population.
Isn't making, as I call, the standard or the target, then you're going to need the immigration to fill that until the homegrown comes through.
Chris, we are never going to have homegrown doctors and nurses to the level that we need.
I say homegrown, home qualified.
Home qualified, homegrown, it doesn't matter. We have a birth rate of 1.3. We will not be able to replace our doctors and nurses to the level of the ageing of our population. Our population is getting older very, very quickly. By 2030, half the population will be more silver.
I'm going on basic maths because the fact, obviously, if you want more local based talent, you need to encourage that local based talent. But you also need to understand the fact that you need to fill the hole now, and you've got people that are trained outside willing to come work for us to fill that hole. Because then they can then turn around and train the new people coming up and then take over the place. Because then if those ones that have come in only want to stay here, say for example 5 years, stick them with someone, stick them with several that to train up, then those trainees can then replace them. That's the way I'm thinking. Because obviously people that obviously come...
15.5 million Britons will be over 65 in 2030. We do not have 15.5 million teenagers. We don't have them. We do not have the population to replace the doctors necessary to look after these people.
Yeah, but I'm not looking at a short term, I'm looking at long term.
No, short, that's long, short and every term, mate.
But obviously with the increased healthcare, by making sure you got the people, even if they are trained from abroad, then people go, oh, actually, I'm hoping it'll, that's called, cause a domino effect. Oh, hang on, we have the health system. Oh, I can have a child now without worrying about something going wrong because I've got the professionals there to do it. It will boost the birth rate.
Chris, we have not seen a single evidential position of us having an increased birth rate unless the government directly builds an incentivization, and they won't. That's on. We have to. You have to. We're having this migration conversation. You cannot have a migration conversation without acknowledging we have a fucking collapsing birth rate.
Everyone has a fucking collapsing birth rate.
In Western society, yes, and governments need to step in to fix that.
Yeah, but people only start having kids when they know that the health system is in place.
Not just the health system, the
tax
system, tax money, everything else.
There is other things, but I could guarantee you, from a woman's standpoint, what's the point in having a child if the health system isn't sorted out?
Oh yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm trying to get at is that there's multiple other applications where households are not having two kids.
Obviously, money is always a fucking thing.
Money is one of the biggest factors of it. Absolutely. But we can't have a migration conversation here in the UK on any level, lawful, unlawful, any level, without discussing the collapsing British birth decline. And that's because of the high tax system that we live in. The high tax system exists because corporations don't want to pay their fair share, and therefore we now need to have to look at post American capitalism. We have to start having these conversations, because that's how you balance your countries out. If you want, and I'm not a fan of this, remember, I'm very much pro-migrants. I believe they enrich our country, our society. My religion is based upon immigrants. Most Christians' religions are based on immigrants, because Jesus is from the Middle East, much like my Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon both of them. They're not exactly British religions. The country isn't covered in pagans. There's no druids running around anymore, Chris. That's a British fucking religion.
There's so many Celtics either.
Well, no, what's left of us is here, but we're doing our own thing. But what I'm trying to get at is they enrich our society. That's my position. But if we're going to play a devil's advocate at the moment, and you want a society that is all white people and white Europeans and only a smittering of brown people for all the curry shops and fucking doctors you want, if you want that, you've got to have more kids. And to have more kids, you've got to start fixing the other problems, because there's a fucking battery of them. Otherwise, your society collapses when the migrants get fed up and they all leave. Your civilization, your British nation will collapse, because you will not have the infrastructural needs. There are not enough teenagers in Britain right now to fill the gap of, if all the British migrants left tomorrow, your country would collapse tomorrow. Complete tomorrow. No questions asked. Because you don't have the 14, 15, 16-year-olds to replace them in the workforce right now, or the skills to do so.
And this fucking racism against whites needs to fucking stop as well.
Yeah, that's true. That bullshit as well. All racism is bullshit. All racism is bullshit. But as I'm trying to get at, if you don't have enough kids, you can't have a migration conversation. It's just that simple.
Over to your next one.
Yeah. Lockdown could have been avoided. Key figures from COVID inquiry. Boris, I've missed you. The long-awaited independent report into how well or badly the government handled the COVID pandemic has been published externally. Chairwoman of the inquiry, formerly Judge Baroness Halliot, said the UK's response could be summarised as too little, too late. Why isn't Boris in jail? Baroness, why did you not recommend Boris goes to prison? And his advisors. Why did you not advise them to go to prison, to be charged? The report looks at whether lockdowns were timely and reasonable, and what impact rule breaking at the heart of government had on public confidence. Here are some of the main findings. Lockdown could have been avoided completely. The report said lockdown could have been avoided if steps such as social distancing, isolating those with symptoms along with members of their household, had been introduced as early than mid-March 2020. But by the time ministers took action, it was already too late, and lockdown was inevitable, it says. By the end of January 2020, it should have been clear that the virus posed a serious and immediate threat. Whilst February 2020 was a lost month, and the lack of urgency overall in the government was inexcusable, the inquiry found. Inexcusable. So the inquiry found that the government under Boris Johnson was inexcusably incompetent for an entire month, while thousands of human beings were coming into danger to die. Volunteering measures were brought in on the 16th of March 2020, followed by a full stay-at-home lockdown 7 days later. But lockdown a week early could have saved thousands of lives. Boris Johnson, why are you not in prison? Bringing in lockdown a week early on 16th of March would have meant 23,000 fewer deaths in England in the first wave. Modelling suggests this would have equated to 48% fewer deaths in the first wave. But the report does not suggest the overall death toll for the pandemic, 227,000 in the United Kingdom by the time it was declared over in 2023, would have been reduced by an early lockdown. That is very difficult to tell, as it depends on a variation of other factors that could have reduced or increased the number of deaths as the pandemic progressed. The UK did too little, too late, to thousands more COVID deaths, said the inquiry. Chaotic UK government was a key figure in criticism. The report described a toxic and chaotic culture at the heart of the UK government during the response to the pandemic, which it said affected the quality of advice and decision making. Whilst it said poor behaviour was displayed by members of the senior leadership, advisors Boris Johnson, Chief Advisor Dominic Cummings, is described as having been destabilising influence. It says his actions contributed significantly to the culture of fear, mutual suspicion and distrust that poised the atmosphere in 10 Downing Street. The then Prime Minister Johnson is also criticised for excessive optimism in the face of the looming pandemic and oscillations on key lockdown decisions. The report said Johnson should have appreciated sooner that this was an emergency that required Prime Minister leadership to inject urgency into the response. Instead, he failed to appreciate the urgency of the situation. Due to his optimism, it would amount to nothing, it said. Boris Johnson was the worst Prime Minister we've had in living memory. 227,000 dead people on his watch. And I can almost guarantee you half of those wouldn't have been there if we had social distanced. If we were given the urgency for those who were suffering from COVID, stayed at home. If more impetus was given towards how deadly this disease was. Meanwhile, his health secretary, Matt Hancock, is accused by Baroness Halton of not being candid enough about the UK's ability to deal with the virus. Lockdown left lasting scars. Whilst the lockdown of 2020 to 2021 undoubtedly saved lives, they also left lasting scars on society and the economy, brought ordinary childhoods to a halt, delayed the diagnosis and treatment of other health issues, and exacerbated social inequality, it said. Children were not prioritised enough, with ministers failing to consider properly the consequences of school closures, the report says. It says that the vast majority of children were not at risk of serious direct harm from COVID, but suffered greatly from the closure of schools and required to stay at home. Everything Boris Johnson's government touched during COVID turned to shit. I make no apologies about that. I don't even care if I'm considered a monster for calling Boris Johnson one of the worst prime ministers in the memorable history, until we get fucking that wanker Farage.
If we get
Farage, fingers crossed we don't. He is unquestionably currently the worst Prime Minister. He's persona non grata to everybody right now. Even the Tory party understood how much of a toxic bastard he was. And he was the front runner for all of the worst things that's hit the UK in the last 20 fucking years. Brexit champion, massive damage to us. COVID problems, massive damage to us. Dancing in a party whilst the country's in lockdown, massive damage to British politics and British society in politics. Everything about this inquiry, when you read it, tells me that they should be criminal charges. Why, I asked the inquiry lead ex-judge, did you not recommend that charges should be placed? That's my take home from it, Chris. Absolutely fucking disgusted. You? Your opinion?
I don't know how they're even still walking about the streets, to be honest. Because it really doesn't take too much. If you notice some propping up disease-wise, that's affecting everyone across the world. Because it wasn't just here; it was everywhere.
Yeah.
For you to turn and go, right, we need to grab the bull by the horns and actually start doing stuff.
Absolutely, they should be pushing charges against them, and even if the charges fail. The country's political class should understand that the loss of 200,000 plus human beings should lead to criminal charges.
It should.
Fucking joke. Over to you, mate.
From one disgusting Prime Minister to the current one. And this one is set to tip the scales in the other direction. Stammer set to approve the controversial supersized Chinese embassy. Sir Keir Starmer is expected to formally approve a new 20,000 square metre Chinese embassy in the central London, despite espionage concerns, reports say. The Prime Minister has reportedly been given the green light by MI5 and MI6, with the Times informed by sources that the Home Office and Foreign Office will not raise any formal objections to the plan. The deadline for the decision has been extended to the 10th of December, with both departments, which represent security services, set to submit their response to the government over the next coming days. Sir Keir is planning to travel to China for his first bilateral visit in January or February next year, as UK seeks to strengthen economy and diplomatic relations with Beijing. However, sources have told The Guardian that the visit is contingent on the embassy's planning proposals being greenlit next month. Why should that? No. I think someone's trying to overreach.
China.
Yeah. The row over the embassy comes amid ongoing disputes following the collapse of a Chinese spy case and warnings by MI5 of the threat posed by the communist state to the UK national security, fueling the government's difficulties as it seeks to ease tensions with Beijing. But Tech Secretary Liz Kendall insisted the Prime Minister takes all of those issues extremely seriously. We will do everything possible to keep this country safe, and we are very clear-eyed about China's role there, she told Sky News on Friday morning. Asked about the reports the government will approve plans for the embassy, she said, "I can't comment on the news story today. Any decisions will be taken through the proper process, but I would say that we are clear-eyed about our relationship with China, and national security will always come first. This is absolutely non-negotiable, but we can safely work with China, whether that's on the economy or areas like research. That's what we will do because we want to get the best outcome for the British public." Proposals for the embassy were rejected by the Tower Hamlets Council in 2022, with the Chinese opting not to appeal. But Beijing resubmitted the application a fortnight later, Labour's election victory last year, and the plans were then called in, so ministers would make the final decision. On Tuesday, Secretary Minister Dan Jarvis said the government will not tolerate covert and calculated attempts by China to interfere with the UK's sovereign affairs following an MI5 warning of over spying threats. MPs, peers and parliamentary staff were warned by the security service are suspected Chinese espionage via recruitment headhunters on Tuesday. Mr. Jarvis told the House of Commons that MFI have said China is attempting to recruit and cultivate individuals with access to sensitive information, often masked through cover companies and headhunters. The minister announced a package of measures to dispute the threats, and that the government is launching an espionage action plan. China has denied allegations and lodged stern representations with Downing Street over the warning, an espionage spokesperson said.
Stemmer's trying to find ways to put money in the country. So he's in a hard rock and a place. Trump is a greedy bastard. Europe, we burnt our bridges with Europe. So he's looking for a paycheck.
But
because we need billions worth of investment. Right. As horrible as it's saying, so he's agreeing to the super.
I think it's more where it's being positioned as well.
Oh yeah, that's a fucking problem.
Has the issue, because if they turn around and say, "Yeah, you're having it, but you're having it on the coast," I don't think most people would even give an eyelid. Because I'm not gonna lie, because that's not in the centre of London where you can access everything. So I think it's purely down to where they're planning on putting it. And why do they need a 20,000 foot fucking square embassy?
I'm not an ambassador. I don't know.
How many people do they want to fucking fit in that thing? Half the fucking Chinese government.
Wouldn't even close. There's 100 million employees in the Chinese government. You know that, don't you? More than that country's population.
Yeah, but think how much they like building infrastructure. It's 20,000 square meters. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's just going to be like 1 or 2 floors. How do you know it isn't going to be 10 floors going down?
Because they have to get planning permission for everything. So if it was going down, the government would have to say it.
You sure about
that? Yeah. Well, they should do. I'm not saying they have. I'm just saying they should do. Embassies require planning for everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they need a big one, because of the fact if we was just turn around and stick an embassy in France, Spain, and all that lot to control the immigration, I wouldn't expect a freaking huge ass bloody building.
I don't know.
I'd expect
20,000 plus. I want my veg garden. Well, we're chucking vegetables. No, you're not coming in. No. I am joking before anyone gives me shit. This situation's so dark, I have to fucking joke about it.
It's called a checkpoint building, and a checkpoint building does not need to be that bloody huge.
Where am I going to keep all my sex slaves and my water cannons? I'm thinking this. You asked me to put my feet in the way of the Chinese embassy. What would you? I've killed him.
I've taken it to far too extreme.
Well, yeah, you asked. I'm like, well, if I had my own embassy, my sex dungeon, me water cannons, me militia, me tank park, me veg garden, I'd need 20,000 feet.
Don't forget my nuclear bunker.
My nuclear bunker.
Ready for when we nuke the fuckers and then pop up Gorsh ours now.
You're getting the joke, Britain, that we're taking a small bit of a piss at the moment.
Yeah. But I honestly do believe if it was outside London or on the coastline, people wouldn't even be batting an eyelid about security reasons on that way.
I think they would, because the country has a lot of right wing people.
But what I should say, it wouldn't be
as acute.
So much of an issue.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they're trying to plonk it straight in the middle of London.
Christ, can you imagine how many houses you could build with 20,000 square feet in London?
Yeah, that's what I mean. What's the fucking point of putting an embassy when you could turn around and put housing there? I'm sorry, housing comes
20,000
first. Bang. There you go. Screw you, China. We need houses. You can go on the fucking coast.
Catch a train up to London.
Our service is shit, then invest in our train system.
Want to get to London quicker? Build a better train for us, China. You have to laugh at these things, Britain, because it's horrific. The fact that Keir Starmer has to go to China with a cap in hand, because that's what he's doing. And I mean, and the right-wing press, they scream about that when Britain does it to the IMF and to Europe. But no one's making as much noise when the Prime Minister is basically being told by the emerging superpower, we want a 20,000 square inch fucking embassy in the middle of your capital. And then we might talk about investment. I'm saying this is only might talk about investment. This isn't even investment.
Even if it was guaranteed, I'd still be like, you're not having it in the friggin' centre of London.
Just yeah.
Stemmer, grow some balls.
He doesn't have any. He was neutered when he got into office by the Zionists.
Sure, he isn't transgender.
Oh God. We called him Woo-Man.
The conspiracy theorists are going to come out of the woodwork now.
Woo-Man, the Prime Minister. We are absolutely joking. This is pure tongue-in-cheek. All right? Don't anyone take us seriously on that small part of joking about embassies and ambassadors and shit like that.
But you do need to question, why do China need such a big one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because literally, I swear in most other countries, it's like we only need it to have a couple of ambassadors there. And
I think it's because China is still registered or held in the registration that Britain considers them a hostile nation. Do you know what I'm saying? It was less than a couple of years ago. I don't know if it was like last year or the year before.
Well, the fact that we had spies already trying, and the spy case collapsed. We wonder why they got their backup.
Whilst the UK government has not officially labelled China as a hostile nation, it has described China as a systemic competitor and a state-based threat, and has taken a tougher stance due to concerns over national security, espionage, and human rights issues. The harder approach, including warnings from intelligence agencies, a shift in public opinion, and a focus on reducing strategic dependency. Did you hear that part? Woo-man, Keir Starmer. I just fucking yeah. I think
your next point, because of the fact it's a very sensitive subject, and it'll probably start the war.
How billion-dollar money laundering network in the UK brought bank to fuel Russian war efforts.
One scandal to the next.
Oh yes, a billion-dollar money laundering network active in the UK brought a bank to facilitate payments supporting Russian military efforts. The National Crime Agency has revealed. This is from our National Crime Agency. The NCA, I actually think these guys are doing a pretty good job personally, as I've read this, said the enterprising benefited criminal globally, from Russian-speaking hackers with millions in cryptocurrency to British street gangs laundering physical cash. The launderers from the group operate in at least 28 UK cities and towns, with couriers collecting cash for crypto conversion. A company linked to one of the network bosses purchased the bank, now facilitating payments supported by the Russian military. The NCA is leading an investigation called Operation Destabilization into Russian money laundering network, supporting serious and organised crime around the world. Since the launch of Operations Destabilization, 128 arrests have been made, with over 25 million seized in cash and cryptocurrency in the UK alone. Spokesperson for the NSA said a threat can be drawn between a person in the UK buying some cocaine on a Friday night to geopolitical events that cause suffering across the world.
Damn.
Yeah. Drug money fuels all the bad things.
I'm saying they're starting to really crack down by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Salma Laki, Deputy Director for Economical Crime at the NCA, added, "Today we can reveal the sheer scale at which the network operated and draw a line between criminals in our communities, philosophical organised criminals, and state-sponsored actions. The network disruption, though, through destabilisation, operated at all levels of international money laundering, from collecting the street cash from drug deals through to purchasing banks and enabling global sanction breaches. In December last year, the agency exposed two networks, TGR and SMART, which were working together to launder money for transnational crime groups involving in cybercrime, drugs and firearms smuggling. The network were known to help their Russian clients illegally bypass financial restrictions to invest money in the UK, according to the NCA. SMART is heading by 39-year-old oh my lord, I can't even pronounce his name, her name. Ekatria Zanonov, I think it's female, a Russian national said to have been born in Siberia before making it to the financial industry and building up connections in Moscow. Grigori Rosai was the boss of TGR. It is understood that the TGR and SMART laundered from Irish cartel and the Kinhains, nasty people, and for state-controlled TV network Russia Today. Senior members of the network were sanctioned by the US Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, in December, and Zanarov is being held by a pre-trial determination in France. In August, the UK government sanctioned a company called Altair Holdings SA, which is linked to Rosai as part of a wider crackdown on Russia's attempts to exploit Kesra's financial system and crypto networks. The NCA said that on Christmas Day 2024, Altair purchased a 75% stake of the Kremet Bank, which was subsequently sanctioned by the UK and the US.
Damn.
Yeah. Our boys in the NCA are doing their fucking job. Actual law enforcement's working. Good work, lads. Good work. But yes, it is controversial that the fact that they could buy a bank, they could get the money for it, and then launder it. Fucking disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting.
I like they could own a bank in the UK if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Damn.
They found out about it, but the fact that the money was laundered to buy a bank.
Which bank?
I just said the one that closed. It's sanctioned. Said the threat that these networks are significant. We can draw a really close thread between somebody buying some cocaine on Friday. No, I did that. I can't find it. It did mention the name of the bank. The company TGR purchased a bank. Sanctions in December. In August, the UK government sanctioned a company called Altered Holding SA. That's it, because it bought on Christmas Day the Kerment Bank, Krement Bank, and they bought the controlling share of it, which was subsequently sanctioned by the UK government and US.
Damn.
I don't think it's a big name bank, but the fact they could buy a bank.
I'm sorry, but when you say Kermit Bank, all I think is
Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
I did too.
Miss Piggy was probably furious.
I got that criminal money, Miss Pig. I don't need you no more. Oh, it is a Russian bank. It is a Russian bank.
It is a Russian bank, is it?
Yeah. A Russian bank that operated in London.
Damn.
Mm. Yeah, because we're pronouncing it wrong because it's got all them Russian letters. There we go. Kepermet Bank or something like that.
Yeah.
We thought it said Kermit. I think that's quite bad. The Kermit Bank.
Oh, we don't speak Russian, do we? So how we
Yeah. Our apologies to the Russian-speaking world.
Yeah.
We probably make them laugh. All right, then, mate. All for you.
Middle class families face unlimited council tax rises under Labour.
Jesus.
Our favourite person is back in the limelight.
I don't mind her. I just want her fired. You're the one who's got an axe to grind.
Oh, with the last one, yeah, definitely. Families in affiliate neighbourhoods are facing unlimited council tax rises under plans to funnel more cash into Labour supporting towns. Ministers plan to cut funding to the wealthy councils and redistribute the cash to poorer ones, often deprived towns in the north. Under Labour's fair funding review, it is wealthier councils at present charge low council tax and face financial difficulties because of the funding shortfall. They may have to be allowed to increase bills by more than the current maximum of 5%. Fucking what?
Fuck Jesus.
Councils in London, the home countries are much of the east are expected to be hit, as well as affiliated Manchester commuter belt and the shires around Birmingham. Great, that includes us. I'm pissed off.
Stop. I'm really sorry to interrupt your point here. The ex-leader of Reform UK and Wales is sentenced to 10.5 years for taking pro-Russian money. That was literally today. Reform, any comment? You know how much we love you on our podcast. Any comment to one of your Welsh leader getting 10.5 years for bribery and corruption from Russia? Carry on, my boy. I just wanted to pump that in.
Disgusting.
It absolutely is.
Meanwhile, councils that do not take advantage of raising rates by the maximum 5% allowed to keep bills low for residents will not have the extra cost covered by central government. This poses a potential headache for Nigel Farage, who wants local authorities run by Reform to keep council tax rises as low as possible. The writer of the Telegraph below, Sir James Clearly, the shadow local government secretary, warned that more could see councils raise rates by as much as 10%, as some authorities have been permitted to do previously in exceptional circumstances. He warned it is now entirely possible we will see council tax rises up by 10% or even more in some areas every year, or 40% by the end of the Parliament. In fact, there is no limit on what can increase council tax councils can ask for, raising the prospect of even bigger heights. This is not a one-off. Labour has committed to a multi-year funding settlement for councils, meaning tax hikes every year. The Housing Department issued a statement on Thursday acknowledging that some local authorities may be in a challenging financial position as a result of the changes. As a result of this, it said the town halls where bills were below average could represent permission to increase council tax by more than 5%. Currently, councils must call a referendum if they want to increase bills by more than this. Under rules introduction by the Tories 2012, a spokesperson from the Ministry of Housing Committees and the local government said, to strike right balance between protecting taxpayers, supporting local authorities, the government will consider local requests for councils' tax flexibility where the local authority is facing significant local financial difficulty and views additional council tax increases as critical to manage financial risk. The government would not agree to request for additional flexibilities from authorities where council taxpayers are already paying more than average.
Oh, yeah.
There are 111 councils in England which charge below the average rate for a Band D property and could therefore raise tax by more than 5%. Band D, is that
one of the
4 and above?
I think so.
Analysts by the Telegraph found that they cover almost all of the capital as well as swaths of the east of England, including Essex and Suffolk. Many of the areas outside of London are traditionally Tory strongholds such as Hampshire, Lincolnshire, Gloucestershire and Staffordshire. The county council's network said the changes would unfairly target resources towards urban metropolism cities and towns at an expense of rural areas. The changes are intended to redistribute wealth away from affiliate councils, particularly those in inner London, where the benefit from generous funding settlements over the past few decades that have been not reflected demanded for their service, meaning they have been able to keep taxes low and build up significant reserves. Many of those areas already face being heavily hit by the budget next week, which is expected to include a council tax surcharge on the most valuable homes.
The Band D is a 68,000 to 88,000 for the house, so it's quite a low level pricing area.
How much for the house?
68 to 88 for the property. For Wales,
so all fucking houses then. Name me a house that's less than fucking goddamn 68,000.
Yeah, property, not house, property.
Oh, property.
Just property. We're not talking houses. Specifically, property's estimated market value. So 68 to 88.
Yeah, but name me a property that's less than
It's
68,000.
fucking hard. It's fucking hard.
Even most.
So they're basically what they're doing is they're adding a tax band to the low end properties to try and generate more money.
Honestly, you try finding a 1-bedroom place less than 68,000.
It's going to be fucking difficult.
You may be able to buy it for less than 68,000 because if you know the right channels, but as soon as it's recorded on the books that it's worth more than that, you immediately fall into that bracket. That's disgusting. That just basically means, great, we're going to get hit in the fucking gut again.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. As I told you, the tax system we have right now is completely and utterly flawed. And
would abolish council tax.
And again, a central pot of money that deals with all of the necessities of what the council did. We had that when me and Chris were children. During the early days of Margaret Thatcher, she brought council tax in. Council tax is a very new, countrywide point of view, institution. In 1993, we were teenagers. I thought it was earlier than that. Jesus. Council tax was introduced in the UK on April the 1st, 1993. I thought we were younger. Yeah. 8 value bands, A to H in England and Scotland, and A to I in Wales. These bands still based on these property estimates market value as a fixed date of the 1st of April 1991 in England and the 1st of April 2003 in Wales.
So literally everyone's going to be hit because of the fact
everybody.
You can't buy a 1-bedroom house for less than 68,000.
Oh,
well, a 1-bedroom property actually, because even flats are more than that these days.
Oh, I know. It's mad. It's mad as a marsh hare. You done with that one?
No, like I said, this is the next point, but it leads off the other point. You go on yours.
Angela Rayner reappears is a few further damning of Stemmer's leadership. If the Prime Minister had hoped for a rare quiet weekend, he had another thing coming. The moot income tax rise might be firmly off the agenda, and the sudden flurry of leadership spectacles at least partially closed down thanks to denials on the part of the supposed challengers, Stenner, and a categorically no sacking pledge from Downing Street. But there are on the front pages and eloquently backed in the public space was none other than Angela Rayner. It is probably fair to say, despite his generous handwritten response to her resignation just over 2 months ago, Sir Keir Starmer had no expectation or hope that his former deputy and housing secretary would be back in the political swim as so soon. Miss Rayner's absence from the front bench might have diminished the government in some ways, giving her a colourful character and her effectiveness at parliamentary performance, but there were also at least could have been advantages for Sir Keir in terms of streamlining the government message and silencing negative comparisons with his own communication skills. But there she was, with her first interview since her resignation in September, and a whole new boat of Labour leadership speculation, with Miss Rayner has now added to those already thought to be in the ring, And to anyone protesting that the timing of Miss Rainey's reappearance might be entirely coincidental and carrying no significance whatsoever is a great scheme of things, there is an answer. Miss Rayney did not need to give an interview this weekend. However, focusing as it was on her constituency work, and politicians have plenty of formulations to call on when they want to display unwelcome speculation. But they were no categorically denying about leadership ambitions. There was rather an emphasis on service from the backbenchers or the frontbenchers, a call on Labour to end what she called an arrogant titty-tattling. Does that far-right voice from the wings, with its unequivocal advice to the party once again at sixes and sevens, sound like someone who sees her front bench political career as over? No, she doesn't. I hope she does, because I think the fallout between her challenging, she's unpopular as it is, Angela Rayner. She wasn't exactly popular with the standing of her MPs as it is. She was popular with grassroots, though. For hints of her campaign pitch, which is more than there is no need to look beyond her official resignation speech 3 weeks ago, when she claimed legislation on employment rights, Hillbillies and retiree rights, as well as the housing target, as her own, to which might be added the left-leaning budget measures set out on her subsequent leaked memo before the spring statement early this year. Miss Rainey's road to return may not be completely without potholes, however, even though none more prove lethal. While she retains considerable grassroots popularity and an authentic politician, and her example backstory as a teenage mother made good, the findings that she failed to pay the taxes due when she bought her seaside flat is held against her and linked in the minds of some to the gifted clothes and holidays that provide problematic for several ministers up, and including Sir Keir Starmer in the early months of Labour's government. Thoughts?
She's the fuck off.
That tax dodging, when we have tax problems, is a massive problem for me. I still think she's a good person. I think she is a good person. But her inability to get a grip, because me and you covered her ex, didn't we?
Yeah.
And her inability to do that. And as I said then, I say now, I think she's an earnest, genuine and hard-working a politician who may have just fucked up. But there are price tags for fucking up like that, aren't there, in politics? Could you imagine me and you in politics and you said, Johnny, your tax is in order? And I said, well, I think so. Well, your hand would go straight up my arse, wouldn't they?
I would be dragging you by the collar straight into tax office. You fucking sort it now before you do anything else.
Yeah. It's one of those kind of things in politics you cannot fuck up. It's a no fuck up moment. If you're even remotely talking about taxes in Parliament, in government, you cannot, under any circumstance,
you must be the pinnacle of making sure everything's in line.
In line for you, absolutely. And the fact that she was the housing secretary and the deputy prime minister,
and still didn't pay the fucking correct property council tax.
Yeah. Sir Keir has opportunities at his own to succeed or fall in the coming weeks. How divided will the parliamentary party be over the sharp charges of asylum to be presented to them by the Home Secretary? I think that's going to be a fucking war. That's going to be a fucking war. How far will the budget tilt to the right or the left, and how well or badly will it be received by Labour's MPs, by the markets, by the public at large? Will discontent with the leadership quieten down? What happens here will also happen to determine the fate of the Prime Minister. But it is hard to see the re-emergence of Angela Rayner not playing a role too, if she meant her words, "I've not gone away," to sound reassuring. There is probably not how they were heard in Downing Street. I remember her and the Chancellor hate each other, so you have to be a Rayner supporter just to watch the Chancellor go down.
I smell infighting.
Blood and feathers. Me and Chris want to cover it. Your final option, I believe, old boy, isn't it?
I'll tag the two because one's just funny and I just want to put Reeves in her place.
He's a bastard. I love him.
London backbenchers London's Labour strongholds to escape the new council tax raid.
Oh my God!
This is the.
Oh my God!
This is the 11th hour from the backbenchers. Swaths of London's represented by Labour's MPs will escape Rachel Reeves' tax raid as backbenchers launch the 11th hour bid to water down the proposals. The Chancellor will announce a new levy on England's most valuable homes at next week's budget as she attempts to shore up the country's finances. Oh, I've got opinions on that, and I'll cover that in the budget special. The the surcharge, which was revealed by the Telegraph, will affect properties in the council tax bands F, G, and H, is expected to hit around 300,000 properties. However,
Jesus.
analysts by the Hamptons suggest many owners of high-value homes in capital will escape the extra levy, particularly in large parts of London that have enjoyed huge investment and regeneration over the past few decades, including Hackney, Leversham, Southwark, and Waltham Forest. This is because the majority of homes in these areas will be put in bands A to E in 1991, when the properties were last revalued for the purposes of the council tax. Oh, so they haven't updated it for the new things.
Oh, no, of course not.
It means dozens of Labour MPs, including Ellie Reeves and Chancellor's sister, are not likely to face the wrath.
The Chancellor's sister? Oh, nepotism!
You start to fuck up. I smell a loose thread. I'm going to pull on it. Are not likely to face the wrath of the constituents over the raid, which will be imposed before the end of the decade. Ellie Reeves, as Solicitor General, is the MP for Leversham West and East Dulwich, where only 3% of properties were in the top 3 bands in 1991, when properties were last revalued for the purpose of council tax.
Oh my God, we need to abolish that. Fucking council tax is a nightmare.
All right, and I'll lead it straight into the other one, because I'm just going to nail it home with Reeves. I don't care.
I gave him this.
Yeah,
I saw this. I gave him this.
He sent me this, and I was like, I'm going to take this. Quote from Reeves: "I'm sick of people mansplaining how to be the Chancellor."
If you could count, we wouldn't have a problem.
To that very sentence, I got one frigging goddamn. I got literally something to say. You're the Chancellor. You're the head of the financial markets and everything, including tax and whatnot, within the UK. You're going to get criticism from every single angle. If you cannot cope with that, hand in your notice and stop trying to go, I'm a woman, stop picking on me approach. That is no place in the pissing government. I don't give a flying shite. All you feminists can go stick your head up your ass if you take offence. You're at the top level, Miss Reeves. You need
You're governing the taxes of 70 million human beings.
You're on the top level. You need to represent the top level. The moment you start trying to pull that bloody feminist card is the moment I'm going to ask for your bloody resignation.
Because let's be fair about this. You can't. You just can't. You're not talking about a school teacher being bullied by other male school teachers. You're the only fucking Chancellor in the UK. There aren't peers attacking you. We're not mansplaining. We're wanting you to do a better fucking job. And you have disappointed this country time and time and time again. Oh, mansplaining my fucking ass.
You're trying to sneak that wokeism into your fucking goddamn job. You do that, I will definitely be hunting for your resignation. And I will be spiking the fire to everyone else to go for it as well.
Jesus Christ. Mansplaining. That's the best you got, Rachel. That's the best you got. You said Angela Rayner, who I thought was one of the decent fucking politicians in the Labour government. Yeah. She had flaws. And then the tax system is what sunk her. Yeah. Not declaring on a house. Yeah. That's a big bad no-no. But outside of that, you can't say that her policies weren't decent to the people.
She fucked up and she paid the price.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's the simple thing.
The problem being is the fucking Chancellor is fucking up weekly and we still got the cunt. And we're not mansplaining. You're in the most powerful economical position in the United Kingdom. As Chris said, that's not mansplaining. That's expecting you to be the pinnacle of financial responsibility and the ability to fix our financial problems. That's
if you want some mansplaining, I'm sure some men people can gladly turn around and sit over your shoulder and go, no, that's not how it works.
But no, the Chancellor is getting irate because she sat in a job that is extremely difficult and she wants any way of deflecting the criticism. Okay? I don't care her sex, gender, who her relationship is. I care how she fixes our fucking economy and the policies that fill these black holes she keeps finding.
I know one way to fix those black holes.
P45 for the Chancellor, please.
Because I have been doing my research, and the amount we spend on foreign aid is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, there is a lot. We are not a great power anymore, Britain. And I hate to say this, we're not a superpower, we're not even a medium power in Europe. We are on our own, and we need to start dealing with things on our own. And we need to start looking at it as the nation we are.
And the last thing to lovely Reeves, stop throwing a strop and do your fucking job. That is what we expect. Stop trying to go, oh, I'm Labour, so I'm left, so I can throw the woke shit in and go, stop mansplaining.
We're not mansplaining. We expect the Chancellor to be the fucking Chancellor. Ugh! As always.
And the fact that us two are turning around and going, adjust the tax system, that will fill every single black hole you fucking come across like that. Because
it will. If you start actually putting the burden of tax onto multinational corporations who want to operate in Britain, they will that will fill the holes, taking the burden off the British people and allowing them to rebalance the population, so you can have this mildly xenophobic ideology of yours.
And second thing, the amount we're spending on fucking foreign aid, I will drop that to 10% of what we're currently spending.
Is it really that much?
Yes.
Jesus.
Why are we spending in the billions on foreign aid?
I bet some of them countries are highly developed as well these days.
Yeah, I'm literally like, I don't give a flying crap. You want out from us, we need to sort ourselves out, so you need to get a grip yourselves. So
yeah, this is absurd. Anyway, I believe that's the end of podcast 22. I am always, as always, John, Sean, or Yucca, depends on who you're asking.
I'm Chris, hope you have a smashing day.
And this is Your Voice, Your Nation, the Blue Collar Workers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a pleasure having you again for podcast 22.